So another tactic that was used was the whole victim plot, right? And what we call it in filmmaking is the unfair injury. The unfair injury. And they gave that to Meghan. Oh, woe is me. The British media are racist. That's a big, first of all, when you attach, but it's not that I'm not coming for Meghan. I'm not coming for them for using these tactics. I'm a filmmaker. I use these tactics. They're very important. And I'm also a documentarian. And I use the reality of the world to craft my story. So if I had produced this documentary or if I had directed it, I would have done the exact same thing. And it was so important. But I wanted to say this. I'm not saying that they used it to, because this is what the media is doing. Like people like Piers Morgan, they're saying that they use these, tactics to manipulate us to believe this. I do, as a documentarian, I do not believe that they tried to manipulate us. I believed that this is what really happened. And if I am writing the story structure for this documentary, these are the tactics that I'm going to want to highlight to enhance this story and make the story compelling. So what was Meghan Markle's victimhood? It was the racism that she experienced, the unique racism that made her different from Diana and Kate and Fergie and every other female woman that has been in the royal family in the past 30 years. It was this victimhood, this racial tension that made it even more escalated. And one thing I will tell you, like I talk about this in media, if you can attach your product to a cause that impacts so many lives, you will 10x how compelling your content is. So you will 10x your compellingness, right? Your compelling ability. And so because Meghan, true story, was able to attach her victimhood to a big cause that every black person in this world, 1 billion black people in Africa, probably more in the rest of the world, over 1 billion black people, experience some way, somehow, when they encounter white society. And not just that, then we talk about the racism that Indians, that's 2 billion Indians, 1 billion Indians. We talk about the racism that black and brown people, we are the global majority, black and brown people. When we talk about the racism that people experience from white supremacy, then you're talking about majority of the world. And so this tactic was able to really make it extremely compelling in a way that it transcends any other type of story that she could have told. And this, don't get me wrong, Meghan Markle's story is extremely important. It is so important that she told her story. It's extremely impactful, and I'm going to address how the British media are attacking, and not even just the British media, but the people that are defenders of white supremacy. And don't forget, not only white people are defenders of white supremacy, it's the global order. Most people have some form of internalized racism. Most people have some sort of racism within them. I talk about this on my other channel, the Kenim O Show. You have to check the racism in you. Yes, black people are eternally racist. So can you ask yourself as a black person when you're watching this and it's rubbing you the wrong way? Ask yourself, am I racist in some way towards black people? Am I really an anti-racist, or do I have some internalized racism within me? Ask yourself that, but we're not going to go into that. So back to Meghan, right? This victim plot was the unfair injury. That's what we call it in filmmaking, the unfair injury. And this unfair injury wins your audience over to to make it more compelling. Then they, sold their love story, the romance of it all. The romance of it all. When they sold this love story, these are all tactics that Justin Bieber also did in his documentary, Changes. Selling the love story with him and Hailey Bieber. This is exactly what they did. They talked about how they met. Everybody loves those videos. How did you meet? Because everybody wants to dream. We've been sold the love story from Disney. People are obsessed with love stories. So these are the tactics that they're making this more compelling.